Good day. The League of Women Voters welcomes you to Meet the Candidates Forum for the nonpartisan election to represent Sub-District 3 of the Anoka Hennepin School District Board. I am Bruce Pomerantz, trained moderator for the Anoka, Blaine, Coon Rapids area League of Women Voters. Because I live in Fridley, I cannot vote for the candidates running for the Sub-District 3 board seat, and I am not acquainted with either of the candidates. The League thanks the school district for providing the school board meeting room for the forum and QCTV for recording this event for access by you viewers. This year, the League is holding our Meet the Candidates forums without an audience to avoid COVID-19 spread. Questions for this forum were submitted online in advance at our website, LWVABCMN.org. We had more questions than we have time for this 30-minute forum. I subsequently consolidated and rephrased similar questions and selected the ones to ask. Each candidate will have up to 1 minute to answer each question. The candidates will receive a 15-second warning before their time is up. They have permission to complete the sentence that they may have started just prior to the warning if they have not concluded their remarks. At the end of the set of questions, in approximately 30 minutes, they will have 1 minute for concluding remarks. The candidates received in advance the first 3 questions I will ask. They were informed in advance of the broad subject matter of the subsequent questions, but do not know the specifics of the questions. The League Meet the Candidate event is a forum, not a debate. Each candidate has been asked to respond to the question and not to any remarks the opposing candidate says in this forum venue or said on previous occasions. Prior to recording this forum, we determined who would answer the first question. The order of answering the subsequent questions will alternate between the 2 candidates. Candidates, you may ask me to repeat the question any time. The goal of our forums is to help citizens become informed voters. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose any political parties or candidates for office. These candidates care very much whom you vote for, but the League does not. The League does hope that each of you will vote either early or on November 2nd. The candidates for Sub-District 3 are Bill Harvey and Kacy Deschene, both Champlain residents. Prior to airtime, we determined who would answer the first question. The ordering of the questions will then alternate between the 2 candidates, as I said. And the person who will answer the first question is Kacy Deschene. And the question is, why are you running for this office?
Thank you, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. So I'm running for school board because I care about student success, teacher needs, and parent priorities. When we elevate all 3, that will mean a stronger school district for everyone. I am a parent of 2 young kids in the district. Most of my nieces and nephews attend school in the district, and I'm invested in the decision-making that will happen over the next 4 years. I want to serve and give back to the community that raised me. I grew up going to Anoka Hennepin schools, and I benefited greatly from that experience in my life. I know I have the right experience and the ability to connect people and bring us all together as we face the decisions coming in front of the school board in the next 4 years.
Bill Harvey, why are you seeking this office?
Thank you, Bruce and Gretchen, and thank you to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event. My name is Bill Harvey, and I am your current school board member in Anoka Hennepin District 3, and I am honored to serve you. District 3 is comprised of Champlain, Dayton, and part of Coon Rapids. My family has lived in Champlain for 26 years, and my wife Vicki and I have raised 4 children that have attended Anoka Hennepin schools. From the time our oldest child was 18 months, Vicki and I have participated and volunteered in the schools From ECFE to graduation, we've been involved in the entire process. I have, since 2013, given back in many different ways by serving my community. And what a great community we live in. Champlin, Dayton, and part of Coon Rapids that I serve, as well as the entire Anoka Hennepin School District, as well as the entire state of Minnesota. I'm very blessed to get to participate and support and do whatever I can to help the students and families and taxpayers of Anoka Hennepin get the most. Thank you.
Okay. And Bill Harvey, would you also please describe your involvement in the community?
Thank you, Bruce. As I started to state before, I've been very blessed to give back. And because I have been appreciated, I guess is the best way to put it, not only have I been reelected to the school board, but I've also been charged with the responsibility to support Anoka Hennepin families in many other ways. I care deeply about the education achievement of our students, their well-being, our students' physical, mental health. I've served on the Anoka Hennepin Health and Wellness Committee for quite a bunch of years. I serve as the chairman of the Board of Trustees for the organization that monitors and protects the funds of the state of Minnesota, as well as the Anoka Hennepin schools, the foundation board, the Metro EXU board, a number of boards in addition to being a coach of my children and volunteering in the schools and the PTO. So from that standpoint, a lot of community involvement, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity.
Kacy Deschene, what is your community involvement?
Yeah, thank you for asking. So when my children became school aged, I really jumped into involvement with their parent-teacher organization. I participated volunteering in the classroom, doing all kinds of fun activities and adventures with them at school, field trips and reading fairs. I also took leadership positions on that parent-teacher organization. For the last 6 years, I've held the position of president, vice president, communications officer, recording officer. I don't think there has been a position that I haven't held on the parent-teacher organization. I've also enjoyed coaching their various Champlin-Dayton Athletic Association sports teams, spending time with them on the soccer pitch and on the basketball court. Before that, growing up in Champlin, I was a part of many different civic clubs and organizations through Champlin Park High School. And when I was at college, I did a lot of work with the Wilder Foundation. Thank you.
And now, Kacy Deschene, what are your short and long-term goals for representing the Anoka Hennepin School District?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think short-term goals are continuing to get through this pandemic. We have had a hard year that students have come out of, and they need some additional supports and guidance as they face getting back into school. So as a school board member, I think it's really important to address safety, mental health concerns that are coming out of that time in distance learning, and just trauma from the pandemic overall. I think that long-term goals, once we move past that, I would look to a continuation of the equity achievement plan that the district is focusing on. I would look at how we could have a district staff and teaching staff that better reflects our student body and our community, and really look to the parent leaders in our community that have offered their time and talent to provide guidance to the district on how we can continue to be a best-in-class school system.
Okay. Bill Harvey, what are your short and long-term goals for representing the Anoka Hennepin School District?
Thank you very much, Bruce. The board and the administration of the district has worked continuously to improve in every aspect. We do strategic planning a couple of times a year and take a look at celebrating what we do well, and we do a lot of things very well in Anoka Hennepin, and really drilling into the areas where we know we can do better. And then the board has invested strategic resources into supplementing where we needed to put additional emphasis. I've been fortunate to be asked to testify in front of the Senate and the House. I've been invited to the previous governor's office to get my input on how we can best serve the families of Anoka Hennepin. And I have spoken with the current governor to express the challenges that we are up against. So I really am fortunate to get to do that, but I appreciate that honor and I take it seriously.
Thank you. And Bill Harvey, we now start the questions that you have not heard, and this we have labeled as problem solving. When confronted with conflicting information and opinions on an issue, how will you determine your position on the issue? You may use an example if you like.
Yeah, thank you, Bruce. My best answer to that is as a business person, as a father, as a compassionate person, there are always differing opinions on things. And in my opinion, sometimes in today's world, with all the challenges we face, common sense isn't very common. But I value that, and I value just those wholesome Minnesota values that it takes to make best decisions for our children, our families, our taxpayers, our schools. We have the most incredible teachers anywhere, and I have supported them without exception, and they have supported me back. And so I really value what a great community we live in, and the fact that we need to make decisions that are best for our people, and we have to ignore some of the noise that happens out there. Thank you.
And Kacy Deschene, when confronted with conflicting information and opinions on an issue, how will you determine your position on the issue? You may use an example if you like.
Thank you. So I think the role of the school board is really to find and use the very best information available to us. Good leaders know that no one single person is a master of all knowledge, and really the best decision-making and the best understanding comes when you bring the widest variety of perspectives. We have incredible staff at this district, we have amazing teachers, and we have very talented parents who are willing to share their knowledge, as well as an expert body at the state level that we can rely upon and look to inform decision-making. So when I'm faced with varying opinions and varying thoughts on a topic, I would seek out the very best information that is available to us and use that to inform decisions.
Okay. And this we label under board unity. If you, Ms. Kacy Deschene, if you are in the minority on a policy issue vote, what is your responsibility with regard to supporting the majority decision with which you disagree?
So I think that when difficult or challenging, conflicting issues arise, I always pause first and seek to understand why, to understand and learn from the other perspectives that have come to the discussion and determine what common ground there is to find in that. If I were to be of the minority opinion, I think it's still important for our students and for our staff that the board is unified after a final vote happens and presents that collaborative and common approach to the public when that conversation completes itself. I think that it's important to acknowledge the disagreement and be candid and transparent about why there was a difference of opinion and what information informed that. But ultimately, I do think it's important and in the best interest of our students and staff for the board to be united after a decision is made.
Mm-hmm. And Bill Harvey, if you are in the minority on a policy issue vote, what is your responsibility with regard to supporting the majority decision with which you disagree?
Thank you, Bruce. That is kind of the essence of serving on the board. There are, in the case of Anoka Hennepin, there are 6 board members, and rarely does everybody think exactly alike. So that working relationship, that trusting relationship that you have where people get to voice their opinion and share their thoughts and priorities, you're not always going to end up on the winning side of that. But you are going to be in a situation where, for the betterment of the school district, you look at it. And we're blessed in the fact that a lot of times decisions are gone through repeatedly before they get to a board vote. It's important that we have really researched what the process is. So you may still dissent on a vote, but at least you have a clear understanding of what's going to happen going forward, and I really appreciate that.
Okay. And as part of your answer to the next question, Bill Harvey, please define what equitable achievement means to you. The question is, while you are elected from a specific section within the school district, what is your responsibility to ensure equitable achievement throughout the entire district?
Absolutely. And I think that we've seen a lot of emphasis on that. There's been a lot of heavy lifting and hard work that's gone into that in Anoka Hennepin. And there's always been a camaraderie where we have 5 traditional high schools in this district, and we have tried for fairness for all of them with every decision that we make. And when it comes to student achievement, certainly where there is greatest need, there needs to be greatest resource. And so we have put a lot of initiatives and strategic planning and strategic investments into supporting our students with their mental health, their academic health, feeling welcome in our buildings, just from a standpoint of everybody needs to be a family. We need to be kind to one another. We need to ignore some of the less than pleasant speech out in society and know that we do the right thing to help our students and our families and our teachers.
Okay. And Kacy Deschene, as part of your answer, please define what equitable achievement means to you. The question is, while you are elected for a specific section within the school district, what is your responsibility to ensure equitable achievement throughout the entire district?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are elected based on a segment of the district. Once elected, your decision-making speaks for all and impacts all students in the entire district. So I would define equitable achievement as fair and consistent outcomes, regardless of starting place for our students. So as we know, many of our students come from many different backgrounds, different financial situations, different home lives, and all of that can play into the chance they have at success at school. And so I think it is important for the district to ensure that there are opportunities and supports in place so that all students can leave school feeling valued, feeling cared for, and feeling informed and ready for their future.
Okay. And Kacy Deschene, this falls under our responsiveness to citizen inquiries. Do you have a responsibility to be available other than at school board meetings, A, to the residents in your district, and B, residents outside your district?
Yes, absolutely. Engaging in conversation with families and community members is so important as a school board member, and it's one that I would take very seriously. I think it's imperative for school board members to make themselves available and actually engage in conversations and provide responses and information back to the community. As I've been campaigning, I've been getting out into the community, and this has been one of the key pieces of feedback that I've received from community members and families as I've talked to them on the doors. They want school board members to be available, accessible, and easy to talk to. And I think that that is a very important goal to have, and it is necessary.
Okay. Bill Harvey, do you have a responsibility to be available other than at school board meetings, A, to the residents in your district, and B, residents outside your district?
Absolutely. And I take a lot of pride in the fact that whether it be commencement ceremonies over the last 9 years or celebrations or sporting events or just being out in the community. I have had many people tell me that I'm the most available school board member that they've ever met, and they appreciate the fact that my honesty and integrity allows them to just share their thoughts, and that I may not know the answer when they ask me the question, but I get an answer for them or connect them with the resource that they need. So proud of that fact. It's been fun to attend. Anoka Hennepin graduates around 3,000 students every year, and the last couple of years, even through COVID, the value of the college credit that they received while they were here in this district has been around $13 million. And so parents really appreciate the value of what they've got there. Thank you.
And Bill Harvey, this is about the continuous improvement model. What is your opinion of the district's continuous improvement model that annually is reviewed to determine district strategic priorities and which may take several years to accomplish?
Thank you, Bruce. I was on board for the inception and the development of the continuous improvement model. I've really appreciated having it. And now we're really seeing some benefits from it because it allows us, all of us, whether it's the teachers, the parents, the staff members, the community, to all have clear and transparent information on how we're doing, so we know where we're excelling, we know where we're reducing achievement gaps, we know where we have work to do. And it's ironic and interesting that because of our continuous improvement model and some of the other things that we instituted, I am called on by legislators to say, Anoka Hennepin, I know if I ask you questions, you're going to give me honest answers that are helpful to us making decisions at the state level to support your district. So it's directly result of the continuous improvement model, and I think that's really benefited our staff and families.
Kacy Deschene, what is your opinion of the district's continuous improvement model that annually is reviewed to determine district strategic priorities, which may take several years to accomplish?
Yeah, so a continuous improvement model is something that is used successfully in many different industries, and I think it's a good model to use when managing a school district. It's important to understand what's working, what's effectively working, what areas of opportunity might exist for improvement. And then once you know that and you have those identified, you can create a plan using data and evidence to inform decision-making that will help improve success outcomes for our students, that will help improve teacher supports, and improve parent involvement.
Okay. And this question deals with student curriculum options. Current news reports, Kacy Deschene, indicate a lack of entrants for skilled labor. Does the school district provide sufficient education and counseling to students about training and employment that does not require a 4-year college degree?
That's a great question, and I do think that there is room for improvement on providing information to students about what paths exist after they graduate. So commonly, you will hear about career counselors and guidance counselors speaking to students about 4-year degrees, universities, and while that path is successful for some, it's not the only path. And I do think that there's an opportunity for the district to partner with all of the amazing trade schools that exist in our area, with all of the skilled labor groups that have very well-paying, successful jobs and career information, so that students can get a flavor of what might be a path for them after they graduate this district.
Bill Harvey, current news reports indicate a lack of entrants for skilled labor. Does the school district provide sufficient education and counseling to students about training and employment that does not require a 4-year college degree?
If I can fit in my two examples, I will. The Anoka Hennepin School District has won a national award called the Magna Award for our innovation in this regard. And what we did as a creative idea was moved a lot of our students that have had the most challenges, our ALC students, into Anoka Technical College. And while they're there getting their high school diploma or their GED, they're also taking concurrent classes in the trades to learn as much as they can about a potential field. So what a win-win this is for them to have gone through some kind of trauma or something in their life that maybe a regular high school didn't feel right to them, and we supported them and put them in that situation. We also have an innovative school called our STEP program, which is specifically there to teach people the trades. So we are really leaders in this regard, and we've been recognized for it. Thank you.
This is about student well-being. Mr. Bill Harvey, what is your responsibility to evaluate if the district provides sufficient resources for students' physical and mental well-being?
Bruce, thank you. We are in a crisis. And thankfully, Anoka Hennepin has been working on this for a long time, but it doesn't change the fact that through COVID and students going through some really traumatic things, that mental health is one of the areas that we really need to put even more emphasis in. Over the last number of years, Anoka Hennepin has implemented multi-tiered systems of support for our students, and we have mental health professionals that families can utilize if they choose. We have multiple layers of support for students in crisis, and we're blessed to have that because not every school district has that, but the need is very great, and I'm very concerned, and we want to continue placing an emphasis on that to get our students emotionally back to that sound state that we all want them to be, so they can be academically successful too.
Kacy Deschene, what is your responsibility to evaluate if the district provides sufficient resources for students' physical and mental well-being?
So as a school board member, students should be the #1 priority. They are for me. The school community should be a place that strengthens a student's well-being. And so it would be important for a school board member to assess whether or not there are sufficient supports for mental and physical well-being. I think as we're coming out of a trauma like this pandemic for students, students are feeling a little out of control, and having things in place to help students deal with those big feelings and providing professional supports for that at the same time as reducing the stigma for receiving those supports will go a long way. I do support the third levy question, which will offer direct financial support to continue mental health and social emotional learning. And as I was educating myself on this topic, I reached out and spoke to the school social worker at my kids' school and asked what they needed. What are they seeing? And they shared with me that the curriculum being used is helpful and that they would appreciate continued support in that space from the district.
Again, this goes to student well-being. Kacy Deschene, what is your opinion of the policies concerning protecting students from violence, harassment, and bullying?
Yeah, so I think in theory, the zero tolerance policies set the right tone, but in practice, I don't think they allow for the nuance of each situation. Students should absolutely feel protected and safe at school, and we should not allow bullying. I do think it's important that we understand each individual situation and assess it with all of the information coming from the students, the staff and teachers involved, as well as the building support administration and parents, so that we can encourage the right behavior, the right attitude of kindness and caring for the whole community while our kids are at school.
Okay. Bill Harvey, what is your opinion of the policies concerning protecting students from violence, harassment, and bullying?
Thank you. We have an absolute obligation to make sure that our students are safe, that they are cared for, that they are not feeling bullied or threatened. That's a high bar to achieve, but doesn't change the obligation. So every adult in our buildings and every child that's in our building has an obligation to be kind, to be respectful, to be welcoming, and there isn't an excuse for anything less than that, and there shouldn't be. The policies over the years have changed the language subtly, but kindness hasn't changed, and it's critical. And respecting each other hasn't changed, and it's critical. And valuing everyone has not changed, and it's critical. So I think, it is a parent's responsibility to do the right thing and teach their children love and not hate. I think it's a child's responsibility to be there to support their classmates and their friends and do the right thing and tell somebody if somebody is being less than kind.
Okay. And Bill Harvey, what is your responsibility to keep informed about COVID-19 affecting classroom attendance and in-person and online instruction?
Thank you. Repeat the question again so I can answer it clearly.
What is your responsibility to keep informed about COVID-19 affecting classroom attendance and in-person and online instruction?
Yeah, thank you. It has been an interesting couple of years, and from an information standpoint, the board and the administration has tried to filter through. It seems that everyone has their own set of facts these days, but the bottom line is we need to make sure that students and staff members are healthy in our buildings and safe in our buildings. And as I stated before, I've been blessed to serve on the Health, Wellness, and Safety Committee for the school district for the last, I think it's 8 or 9 years. And whether it's the Department of Health or Department of Homeland Security or whoever I'm engaging with there, I've been fortunate to be able to get the best information so that we can make the best decisions and protect our teachers, our students, and everyone in and out of our buildings. We need to educate, but we can't educate if people are sick or getting everybody else sick.
Okay. Kacy Deschene, what is your responsibility to keep informed about COVID-19 affecting classroom attendance and in-person and online instruction?
Yeah, school board members should have an obligation to understand how COVID is impacting in-person attendance or online attendance at school. I think the goal would be to create an environment with the very least disruption as possible to in-person learning. So it would be the responsibility of the school board to take seriously the public health recommendations that are coming out from experts, including the Minnesota Department of Health, the CDC, and the American Academy of Pediatrics. I think staying informed on those expert bodies and the guidance that they are putting out so that we can keep all students and staff safe while at school will minimize disruption and keep kids in the building.
Okay. And this question is about the budget. Kacy Deschene, how will you analyze the proposed line item budgets for adoption that the district administrative staff will submit to the board?
Yes, so in my day job as a risk manager, I've worked in the financial services industry for 15 years. I am deeply familiar with analyzing budgets and data and looking at complex problems, analyzing every detail that goes into the decision-making and finding the right questions to ask and the right people to include in the conversation to understand each item that impacts the budget. So I'll take that same care and that same knowledge to decisions that come before the school board with respect to budget review.
Bill Harvey, how will you analyze the proposed line item budgets for adoption that the district administrative staff will submit to the board?
Thank you. First, you have to have good information, and Anoka Hennepin continues to win awards for our financial management and the folks who take care of that for our district. And then In my case, I have 32 years in the private sector and about 12 in the public sector, being charged with responsibility of millions or billions of dollars to make choices over. Serving as the chair of the Board of Trustees for the Minnesota School District Liquid Asset Fund, there's at any given time $3 to $5 billion in the fund that the taxpayers are relying on good decisions to give a return on their investment to protect those funds. Same thing with Anoka Hennepin. When we give strategic initiatives and we invest in ways to improve our student achievement and our student outcomes, graduation rates and success, those are all items that are evaluated. I'm the treasurer of the school district, and I take that very seriously, that responsibility.
Okay. And Bill Harvey, again on the budget, do you have a particular area or areas of the budget that is of special interest to you? And if so, why?
Thank you. Yes, and I'm glad you said areas because there are a number of them that are critical. It may sound strange, but Anoka Hennepin is property tax poor. And for that reason, I served as the president of an organization called Schools for Equity in Education. And it is equity in a financial term. Anoka Hennepin, because of our tax base being mostly residential, we don't have the same kind of financial base that, say, some of the school districts in the western suburbs or wealthier school districts would have. So we have to do more with less. And that's really a challenge, and it's a little frustrating. But it also has given me an opportunity to advocate for equalization of tax with the governor's office, with the House and the Senate, to try to advocate for our families, our taxpayers, our students, to get the same kind of financial resources. Why should our kids receive less financial support because of our zip code? That makes no sense. So thank you.
Kacy Deschene, do you have a particular area or areas of the budget that is of special interest to you? And if so, why?
So for me, the area of special interest is really looking at that pie chart and figuring out how can we ensure that the most dollars of our funding are going to the classroom, that are going to supports direct for students. So figuring out how we can keep and retain the very best teachers in our classrooms, give our students the technology that they need to become student learners and future leaders, as well as having a good source of steady funding for the district. I think it's critical that we look at the state budgeting formulas and understand how they're impacting choices that have to be made at the district and the rebalancing that sometimes happens when there are shortfalls in areas like special education or transportation. I would be especially interested to look at those line items in detail.
Okay. And this is the final question before your concluding remarks, going to Kacy Deschene. What is your responsibility to know about vacancies, salaries, and retention regarding support staff such as paraprofessionals, custodians, cafeteria staff, and community education child care providers?
Yeah, so I think it's the responsibility of the school board to be a support and to be a servant leader to district administration and to teachers and to support staff in the buildings. Because it, again, comes back to the student. The student is the most important person in all of these discussions. And if they don't have the support staff at the schools, driving them on the bus to school in the morning, taking care of the facilities to make sure they're clean and ready for learning to happen, serving lunches so that they can have a good, healthy meal to continue on with their day, that creates a huge impact to them and to their families. So the school board absolutely has an obligation to understand those vacancies, to understand why they're happening, and to put plans in place to address that in a timely manner and to work together with the community to find a solution.
Okay. Bill Harvey, what is your responsibility to know about vacancies, salaries, and retention regarding support staff such as paraprofessionals, custodians, cafeteria staff, and community education child care providers?
We have incredible staff, and I have fought to try to make sure that they have a workplace that is desirable and that their pay is something that is appealing to them. One of the things in the previous question that was talked about was the fact that the funding for our district, we get shortchanged. The other place we get shortchanged is that there is a cross-subsidy for special education funding, so we take out of the general fund to pay the obligations and what we need to take good care of our students in our special ed world, and our shortfall is about $33 million a year. I've fought very hard to get any portion of that back to our district, and whenever possible, when we are working through the contract negotiations, I want to make sure we settle the best contracts for our teachers, our custodians, our paras, our cafeteria staff, our clerical staff. You mentioned it all. We have great people, and we want to try to take good care of them. Thank you.
Now we will have concluding remarks because Kacy Deschene went first. Bill Harvey, you will begin with the concluding remarks.
Thank you. And once again, thanks to the League of Women Voters for having this forum. Every year, our school district asks our residents how we're doing. Overwhelmingly, the responses are incredibly positive and supportive. People love our community. People love our schools. Our ratings are much higher than most districts in Minnesota. The quality of education, the quality of our teachers, the work done to earn the trust of our community by the administration and the school board are all measured in a very positive light. That trust of our communities, families, and taxpayers is worth fighting for. I would like to continue fighting for that. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to serve our community, and I thank you. I humbly ask for your vote on November 2nd so that I can continue to do this good work. Thank you once again, and on November 2nd or before.
Kacy Deschene, your concluding remarks, please.
Yeah, thank you so much for hosting this and for engaging with the public for the questions that they submitted. So, as a mother of 2 kids in the district and a community member, we all want our students to succeed. We want an effectively run school board with cooperation and high-functioning decision-making. I can deliver on those needs. My professional leadership experience, complex problem-solving skills, and the ability to connect all kinds of different people to bring varying perspectives to the school board decision-making process will be a great benefit to the community. I will be available and ready to engage in conversations with families and community members, and I will listen. We may not always agree, but I will always be there and be responsive to parent concerns. I hope to earn your vote and work with you in the future to provide our kids with the very best school that we can. Please vote on or before November 2nd.
Candidates, thank you for your thoughtful answers. Viewers, thank you for learning about the positions on the questions that your fellow residents submitted. Please inform your neighbors and friends about the program and how to access it. Early mail-in voting has begun. You can ask your respective county elections board in Anoka and Hennepin County to learn how to obtain a mail-in ballot or go to mnvotes.org. In-person balloting occurs 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. on November 2nd. Polling locations may have changed from the 2020 polling sites. Your respective county elections offices will inform you of your polling location, as does mnvotes.org. Also on the ballot are 3 levy referenda issues. The Anoka Hennepin School District home webpage has a link that provides information about the individual referendum. Good day.